We're going live
shoot.
right now. We're
Let's go, Chops.
live.
Unmute yourself,
Hey,
Chops.
this is the OSP Yunzer special. Nothing but black and gold and a bird thing, you guys. We're going to talk some Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a lot of stuff going on in Pittsburgh right now with the black and gold. So let's chat a little bit about the Steelers in the Steel City. Chops,
Yeah.
Dream, T Sizzle, and of course myself, the barber, here to bring it along to you. If you notice, we all got a little something Pittsburgh going on here.
Oh yeah, with Iron City. Whoo,
Yeah,
throwback.
y'all should have told me. I'd have put
Hey,
my
I'll tell you
hands.
what.
My
When I used to drink Iron City when I was a kid, them headaches the next day, even before I was old. Them headaches after Iron City, man.
Did you guys have one of those hard hats with the double beers with the straws?
Oh yeah,
it is for my 16th birthday.
Yeah. Hey, Chops, I want you to do a cake stand when you come up in July. Can we do that?
Mitch, man, I'll break all this. I'm gonna fall all on that. All this. This is my money maker. A cake stand, man.
Hey, it all started with Russell. I'm not even drinking tonight. It all started with Russell Wilson, y'all. 1.2, 1.3?
Yes, 1.2.
Something like that.
And I'm gonna put it out there. I got to keep it a buck. I talk big trash on the Steelers because they were never doing much in free agency.
I'll show the text.
As much hate as I showed in our little private text, I got to keep it 100. I'm loving what they're doing.
And what did I say? And what did I keep telling you?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Sheen, you say a lot of stuff.
There's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Rodney Hammond. I told you there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Omar Khan.
Yeah, but did you see that piece? Did you see that piece today from Brooke? What the hell's her last name?
Pryor. The writer.
Brooke Pryor. Yeah, Brooke Pryor. Yeah. Did you see that piece today? That's all about Tomlin calling them shots.
Yeah.
Okay. Real quick, because I know we're limited tonight. Here's my thing. How long has Tomlin been calling the shots? Because we've never seen this before. So my thing would be, if they've always allowed him to call the shots, people around, you know what I'm saying? People born around don't die square. What made him all of a sudden change? Number two, if they never allowed him to call the shots, quote the old Bill Parcells, if they asked you to cook dinner, at least they could let you buy the groceries. You know what I mean? That's just what I'm not getting. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Colbert sucked ass.
Yeah. Because even let's put this way, even whether it was Canada and other coaches, he kept other coaches too long. So I don't know how much of the shots is he really calling?
Yeah, I think Rooney brought in Canada.
I do too. I think old man Rooney said, "Hey, I'm done with this losing in the playoff shit. Let's get this together and win." Mike, I'm gonna warm up your seat. Dog.
Warm it up, Chris.
You know, hey. So, Russ, what's he bringing to the table? Because last year, all right, I watched this piece yesterday. I think it was on like NFL Network or something. Some guy going on there and said, don't be deceived by Russ Wilson because he threw 26 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Since 2005, he's had the shortest completion yardage in the league. He throws the ball underneath every throw.
So what?
You know what? And that's funny because let's not forget Tom Brady made a career out of running those quick routes.
Exactly.
When your boy, when they brought in the West Coast and there's nothing but crossing routes, nobody said anything.
That's right.
With our guys. So, fellas, let's not forget, when they asked him to take a pay cut, he knew his head coach hated him. The defense was terrible. They couldn't stop a bloody nose. And still, he had some fumbles scrambling, but he did not. He was not throwing a lot of INTs. You know what I mean? So to me, and they're playing from behind a lot of times. Let's not forget, he also took them on a 5-game win streak when they told him basically sit down or get, you know what I mean? So
and he was in the hunt.
He only had 8 interceptions last year and 26 touchdowns.
26 and 8, yeah.
Yes.
Hey, they were in the hunt the second half of the year. They made a push.
Yeah.
They made a push.
Fellas, here, and it's funny because perception rules the world, as we said. The same age, and Kirk Cousins has won nothing. He's won nothing. He's won one playoff game. One. Yeah. And everybody's and coming off an Achilles. And fellas, we all know body doesn't heal at our age or even at 35 like it did at 25.
Yeah.
He just got the bag for $100 million guaranteed, and he hasn't won anything. regardless of what you think of Russ, regardless of what you think of him. 9-time Pro Bowler, been to 2 Super Bowls. When you talk to another quarterback, that actually means something. But for some reason, people are hating on Russ. I don't get it.
Hey, Dan, thanks for joining us, man. Good to have you.
Well, didn't you just say his
Appreciate it.
arm? That's what the concern is.
Well,
Arm, but I'm not concerned about his arm.
all of a sudden, they're talking
Leadership,
about
what you just mentioned about his accomplishments speaks volumes, especially in the locker room, and especially when he reaches out to players before he's even signed on a dotted line, and then they're like, "Screw you, I'm out."
But
on top of that, players were reaching out to him from the Steelers defense.
Yes.
And they're like, yo. I think that might be, we'll get to this in a second about Kenny Pickett, but that might be something that pushed the envelope a little far there. I think these guys got in Rooney's ear too.
Fellas, and we talked about it. We knew that he was getting bad press as a terrible teammate, this, that, and whatever. So we knew we were going to get Russ on his best behavior because he's playing for another contract, whether it's with the Steelers or whomever. He's trying to get another contract past this next season, and he needs to rebrand himself. He needs a redo. He needs a makeover on his image, and I think he's really working hard for it.
It'll be his last contract, right?
Well, the one thing I don't like about this is they're already talking about him getting another contract after this year, an extension. Hey, you brought in Justin Fields for a reason. Now, you want to give Russ another 1-year deal, that's fine, but you got to get Fields on the field. Okay, if you brought him in for a reason. So that's the next piece. They got him. They got Fields for a song, boys. They got Justin Fields for a song. A 6th-round pick next year?
Barber, you're
potentially a 4th. And I didn't understand that. Someone can explain it here. Or
if he plays 51% of the snaps.
Okay.
If 51% of the snaps. So that's the condition based on it. But here's the thing, Barber, for a little quick pushback on that. He's still only 24. It is okay. He can sit next year. Hypothetically, he could sit technically 2 years and he'd still be younger than Pickett is right now, or basically the same age. But no, seriously. But I'm saying that to say he came from Chicago, regardless of what great linebackers, great history of linebackers.
Yeah.
Terrible history with quarterbacks. They have not had a good Pro Bowl quarterback since what? Sid Luckman? Luckman stopped playing before we were even born. So since the day he stepped into Chicago's facility, he has had to be the man. He didn't even have a starter he could sit behind, or at least even if he's starting, work with or learn from. This to me, start Russ. Let Fields sit and truly let him learn, number one, a winning organization and an organization that does it right. And number two, people are now still, you see on ESPN and different things, is there going to be a quarterback controversy? Let the young man start. Because, fellas, let's put it this way. Now, I would tell Russ, you can resign after this year, but you do realize, even if you win the Super Bowl this year, this is Fields' team moving forward after the season, just like they did with Alex Smith and Mahomes. And there are other quarterbacks that have done it. I like it. Let him sit. Let the game slow down.
He must like it because they went to him and they said, "Hey, Justin, we got 5 teams interested in you." Bang, 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 bang. Philly was one of those teams. He knew he was never going to get on the field with Philly. He said, "No, I don't want anything to do with any of them."
Why would you want to go to Philly? Hurts is there long term.
Well, you know what? Yeah. As much as we don't like Mike Tomlin, and let's be straight up honest about this, there are a lot of things Mike Tomlin doesn't do. I think his presence with these young guys, I think the way he handles them, in so many ways, just is a good thing. Think about how he handled. I know this is a bad example, and I know we've talked about this before, but the way he handled Antonio Brown, keeping him under wraps for all those years, the reporters didn't even know it. Like, that dude was batshit crazy. He's still crazy. And Mike Tomlin had him under wraps.
You know what? And again, I've talked about this. Here's why I say I don't know how much he kept him under wraps, because he went live on Facebook. And everything is on the internet.
In the locker room.
Yes, everything is on the internet. And once he got to other organizations, AB was ridiculous. Even when Bell left and his teammates ravished his locker room. When guys are doing things, I think more than keeping AB under wraps, I think Tomlin was able to get him into his office and talk to him and keep him calm. Because as soon as you go batshit crazy, dog, as soon as you lost your bag that holds your marbles, there's nothing that anybody could have stopped. And I think I give Tomlin more credit for that keeping him calm, because when he went to New England, lost his mind. Wherever he's been ridiculous.
Do you think that was perfect?
Yes, that hit was perfect. Yes,
because before that he was but then that perfect hit just sent him cuckoo.
Hey, that CTE shit, that's no joke.
No joke.
I don't know about y'all, but I loved when he ran off the field.
Oh, you mean doing this?
Let me ask you guys something. Let me ask you something. I can assume it's a two-part question. I can assume we're all happy with the signing of Russ.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we're satisfied. Okay, we're also happy with the signing of Fields.
Yes.
Okay, put on your head coach hat. How do you run that? I already told you what I feel. How do you guys run it going into camp this season? How do you run that room and what's going down?
Okay, number 3 is going to be Joe Milton for me.
Ooh,
when Joe Milton's on the board toward the middle of the draft, I'm going to take him. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to take him. He fits that mold of those two guys. He's a collaboration of those two men. And that would be a special guy to develop after Fields. What is he, 21? Something like that. So he's about almost 4 years younger than Fields. And you wouldn't really miss a beat. That kid could throw the ball. There's no question about it. He could throw the ball. He can run with the ball. And he seems to have a pretty good command of the offense.
He's 24.
Oh, he's 24?
Yeah.
Fields is or Milton?
Milton.
I think he's been to a couple schools.
Okay. That changes my tune a little bit.
Penix.
Huh?
Penix?
Penix is older too, though.
Oh, yes, right.
Yeah, he went to Indiana.
Yeah. Okay, well.
But nevertheless, when I go into camp chops, I'm going to give these guys the opportunity to learn this offense, and then I'm going to take the skill set that Justin Fields has, and I'm going to design some offense for them. Who says you can't trot out Russ for 2 series of the game, and then you bring in Fields to change the pace? Holy shit.
I never liked that.
I don't like that.
I never liked that in the NFL.
Oh, here's the thing, though. I feel where you guys are going, where you say you don't like that. However, you do realize, remember when Taysom Hill came in?
Yeah.
You knew he was running. You knew it was going to be a run or a trick play.
Mm-hmm.
If Russ starts and then you bring in Fields,
take it
that
back.
playbook doesn't change.
Take
that
it back.
playbook does not change.
Take it back. Did it work with Cordell? Not so much.
What do you with who? You're talking about Cordell when he was with O'Donnell.
Slash. It didn't work when we had Slash bringing that.
That was a different era of football.
But hold on. But also 2 different quarterbacks. He was different than O'Donnell or whoever. Was it O'Donnell? Who was he filling in for at the time?
I think it was around the O'Donnell area.
Okay, so
yeah, he was in that team.
The only difference when you take Russ, if Russ is the starter, pull him out for a play or 2, right?
Okay.
You don't change that playbook. When Taysom Hill came in, you changed that playbook because he can't pass. When Slash came in at the time, you changed that playbook because he was wheels. He didn't have the arm. Fields can do everything Russ can do. He's faster. He probably has a stronger arm. He doesn't have the experience. Fellas, I ask you this. Take your time to think about it. Not starter, but overall room. Who has a better quarterback room right now than the Steelers?
Top 2, the Steelers.
Who's better? You could have a starter that you think is better than Russ, or a starter that you think is better than Fields. But when you combine 1 and 2s, whose room's better?
Didn't Huntley make the Pro Bowl?
Oh, here you go. Here you go.
And
everybody, and fellas, everybody's up on numbers. You saw the comparison numbers the last few years that they had on Russ, on Fields and Lamar.
Yeah.
But teams fellas, I'm geeked. I'm excited about this.
At the end of the day, Josh Dobbs signed in San Francisco.
I know.
Did you know that? That's an interesting signing by them.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Hey, I got the fun fact of the day for you all.
My only concern with Fields is his turnover ratio is just horrendous. He had 40 touchdowns, 30 interceptions.
True, but
that's concerning.
True.
He's got to sit behind Russ for a little bit, like you said, slow the game down, learn a little bit. If you mix them in, I don't know how that's going to work.
How about having a real quarterback coach that tells you how to do things?
And I was wondering,
real receiver.
Would these 2 fit Canada's system better? And it's too late. It's neither here nor there. But is that something he would have maybe done a little bit better with than
They can run a youth football system, yeah.
Well, here's the thing about Canada. Would he have let the restraints go? Because we didn't even see anything until he was gone. Here's the thing: with an aging quarterback, as Russ is, let's keep it 100, as a young, still inexperienced, and I say inexperienced because he wasn't properly didn't have the proper tutelage. As Fields is, Arthur Smith couldn't be a better choice. He really couldn't. Think about the best year Tannehill ever had was under Smith. Now, having said that, when that running game gets going, both of their turnovers will go down. Russ took a lot of sacks because he had to hold the ball so long. If that running game is on point, he doesn't have to wait for a receiver to get open because they're going to bite on that run and play action. Thus, guys are going to be open. Fields was throwing so many INTs because he's on the run because his offense wasn't very good. And he didn't have a whole lot of receivers that were actually getting, distance or whatever, creating space and receiving. Fellas, I think this is great. Smith gets that running game going. I personally, and I take a lot of flack for it, Najee is not my guy. I like Wallace. That's me, right? Over Najee. However, I understand he's a rookie, whatever. But when this running game gets going, you don't think your boy Pickens is about to go off? Because if we don't think anything about Russ, he's got touch. Russ has got touch. Fellas, I'm at Muth. He's going to eat that seam up. He's going to eat, man. I'm excited.
Hey, listen to this. Fun fact of the day, fellas. During the 2023 NFL season, Tyreek Hill got more women pregnant than the Carolina Panthers won games.
You're kidding me.
He got 3 women pregnant, and Carolina won 2 games.
in 1 year.
Tyreek the Freak, baby. Tyreek the Freak.
He got married in like September, divorced in like November.
Yeah.
Oh, he's had sex. He had sex two more times than I did in 2023.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. The number 2 receiver on the Steelers next year is not going to come from a trade, and it's not going to come from the draft. He's already on the roster.
You got to enlighten me, Barbara. You got to talk. You got to get me there.
Sure, Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth.
Oh, well, with that running game, he's going to be valuable anyway because those linebackers are going to have.
He's your number 2 on the roster. I'm telling you right now, he's going to be, he is going to be the guy. There's no question about it in my mind. No question about it. It's going to be Freiermuth, number 2, Pickens, number 1. I wouldn't be surprised if Darnell Washington slid himself into number 3. I wouldn't.
Ooh.
Really?
I just watched this. I just watched his combine stuff again. I thought to myself, man, nobody developed him last year. They didn't know how to play him, how to use him. Imagine if they figured that piece out this year.
Oh, well, Rasheed was coming. The dream was coming to the dark side. He did say that coaches might help.
I did see that.
Oh,
I did see that.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay, here's my thing. There's talk about Tyler Boyd, right?
Don't want him.
Oh, see, I don't think Tyler Boyd has played behind AJ Green. Is he Hall of Famer? You're gonna have to consider it. Now he's playing behind, and when I say playing behind, he's 2-2 Chase, right? Jamar Chase. Fellas, I think Boyd is solid. They've also talked about Brian Ayuk, or Ayuk, however you pronounce his name.
Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, and here's why. Ayuk is young, right? Do you think he was 2 to Debo, or do you think he was right there, 1-1, 1A, 1B?
1A, 1B.
Okay.
Debo was more versatile. He'd come out of the backfield, those sweeps. They give it to him. They give him on a run, all kind of stuff. But Ayuk strictly wide receiver.
Okay. So say you bring Ayuk in, hypothetically. I don't think they will, but if they did, now you have 2 young bucks at your wideout. I think Pickens would be number 1. But do you think Ayuk would go quietly into that good night and say, okay, I'm number 2? That to me is a headache you don't need.
I shared some of Ayuk's stats today, and I said, no, I don't really want him. He averages about 70 yards a game. Remember, guys, it only takes 58 yards a game to get 1,000 yards in a 17-game season, okay? So I want you to keep that in mind. So about 70 yards a game he averages. He also scored 25 touchdowns the last 4 years. That only equates to 6.25 touchdowns a year. That's not a whole hell of a lot.
I get you, Barbara, but let's not forget, for a while there, we know between Debo, between Kittle, and CMC, he was lucky to get anything regardless. That's the only thing I'm thinking, that he's already come from a team that has had multiple weapons, and he was never the first. He's never the first option.
But
Third or fourth.
what do the Steelers like to do when they get inside the 20? They're not going to throw the ball inside the 20. They're going to run it in. They're going to run some gaping holes and run the ball in. They're not, Ayuk is not going to get that. They don't even, one of the things that always enamored me about the Steelers was the fact that they don't mind grinding that down, and they figured it out like the last 10 games of the year or something like that. But I also thought that they wasted guys like Pickens this year because he's so big and so athletic. He can go up and get the damn ball, throw it up to him, let him challenge.
Okay, Barbara, let me ask you.
Ayuk has to come only. Ayuk only comes. What the hell?
Yeah,
Ayuk
he
only
has to
comes
know
as
he's
a trade. He only comes in as a sign and trade. It can't be a regular.
Well, let me ask you this real quick. If with the Steelers and what they got going on, whatever have you, do you and Barbara, you just mentioned that didn't use Pickens enough, whatever have you. Do you think that was play calling by Canada, or was that Pickett who wasn't throwing to him?
Okay, let's get to Pickett because he's next on the agenda. We got 2 more things to run here, and we got about 15 minutes to do it. I said we're going to keep this at about a half hour. So Pickett, number one, I can't tell you how disappointed I am in Kenny Pickett. I thought he had the leadership skills, the mojo, but a lot of things that are leaking out now really tell me that he lacked the maturity. Look, when Russ came on board, he should be like, hell yeah, I'm stepping up to the plate, and I'm going to either learn from him or I'm going to beat him out at this game. He's a grown man. He's 25 years old. I have no mercy on that. None whatsoever. And when he has to get traded, you know what Omar Khan did? He traded him, and he screwed him when he traded him. He traded him to Philadelphia, where he's probably not going to get in the field. No. Maybe he'll get lucky and Hurts will go down 1 or 2 games. But reasonably speaking, he's not going to get on the field there. They're not going to pick up his 5th year after the next 2 years. I mean, the guy's going to be out on the market again. And how's he going to prove his wear when he doesn't have a record after he left Pittsburgh? And his record in Pittsburgh was nothing that makes you go, wow, I want this guy on my team.
He could be on the market faster than you had them trading cards on the market.
Hell yeah.
On eBay.
Well, here's the thing. As you mentioned, things are leaking out. Again, I don't know. We heard 4 days after he refused to dress for Mason as a backup. Now, I'd like to know who made him get in front of the cameras and say that's a lie, this, that, and whatever, because now we're hearing that it was true. But my thing would be this. He's so young, hadn't proven anything. What made him? It's entitlement. I hate to be the old man and get off my lawn, but it's the entitlement of this younger generation that made him feel I can go in the coach's office and be like, well, if you sign him, trade me. Like I said, where was you signed him? I'm a 1st-round pick. He's 35. I'm gonna beat this cat out.
Hey, at the end of the day, though, Mike,
buck up and do it. Show you got the whoops, whatever, and beat him out. That's what they wanted. They're bringing him in for 2 reasons: to hopefully take over the reins, and if not, create that competition within the locker room. That's what you bring these guys in who are veterans and who have proven themselves.
Man, that draft class is absolutely horrendous. Really, there's only, I think, one guy that's still hanging on to a roster, and that's Malik Willis, and he is now the number 3 guy on that roster in terms of the quarterback. I mean, you got Sam Howell got traded to Seattle. You've got Pickett traded to Philadelphia.
I really thought Howell was going to be some. I did. I thought Howell was going to be some. Real quick, and I know we're not going to get into it, but just so you can put it's on wax. I am expecting, and I know I'm catching a ton of flack for this. I expect this year's draft maybe not be as bad as the Pickett, Sam Howell, and all that, whatever have you. But I don't think it's going to be as good as the Justin Field and who was ever with him. I do not think this draft class is as good as everyone thinks. I just don't. I just don't. We'll get into it on our draft special.
Yeah, that April 23rd is going to be our draft show. Hopefully,
it's way better than Pickett's year.
Definitely, better than Pickett's, or not as bad. So it'll be better than Pickett's, but we'll get into that, man. So
we don't even need to talk about last year's draft because the only guy that really made a mark for himself as far as a quarterback was C.J. Stroud. And I said this all along. I do not see Bryce Young flourishing in the NFL. He's too small. He's too small. You want to talk about Pickett having small hands? At least he had big stature. Bryce Young is a small guy.
Fellas, how much he is small, but how much bigger is your boy Kyler Murray? How much bigger is he than Bryce?
He's thicker.
Oh, he's definitely thicker.
He's thicker, and he's a baseball player. So I feel like he throws the ball better than, and he can move better. I feel like Bryce Young got drafted where he got drafted because he played on Alabama. Mac Jones got drafted where he got drafted because he played on Alabama. Facts. Alabama quarterbacks characteristically are not great NFL players.
Just like Ohio State.
Joe Namath is the last mug to do it, okay? Joe Namath, Pittsburgh. A.J. McCarron's still hanging around playing football, but he was never great. Oh, yeah. Cincinnati had A.J. McCarron on their squad at the end of the year.
What about Stabler?
Okay.
Okay. Here's my thing. Is you talk about thing. Here's what I don't get, and I'll never understand it. As much as anybody follows the draft, they'll never be able to explain this to me where I understand it. Teams put big money into these draft picks. They look at them, they study them, they ask them stupid questions, they have them take different with all this. Yet you draft guys, and in 3-4 years, they'll say, he didn't fit our system, it wasn't the right fit. They pay you millions to make sure this guy is the right fit. Why would you even draft Bryce if you knew he wasn't the fit? And just being honest with you, fellas, I don't know who would be a great quarterback right now in Carolina. Just being honest.
Because I don't think they have a system. But isn't that the point of being a coach or an organization? Whenever you draft people with your athletes, and at least that's from high school, college perspective, you base your system around the athletes that you have. I mean, I can kind of understand a little bit. We have this system in place, but you put the ball in the best player's hands.
Well, the problem,
they're not doing it.
The problem.
I will say this:
when you're saying you're saying that you're paying people to pick these guys, we keep forgetting they're picking their friends to be in these positions. Yeah. Some of these guys we're putting the chalk on the field 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now you're this guy.
Hey, you need me to dump that trash?
You know what I mean?
But I think if Pittsburgh would have been patient, maybe with Pickett, with the new offensive coordinator, maybe brought Tannehill in to guide the kid. Okay, maybe it would have been a little bit of a different story, but I think the patience factor wore off when he got when they knew that they were even. I'll bet you he was clamoring even when he knew they were talking to Russ.
Yeah, here's my thing though. Here's the only thing that bothered me with real quick with Pickett's and how he'd have been. He was missing short throws, fellas. That's what was bothering me when he was missing short crossing routes, whether to Johnson or Pickens. That's what started bothering me. Yeah, again, you still had time, but what was it, second, third year? That's what started bothering me when he was missing those sort of throws.
Well, the irony behind that, and we're moving on after this, the irony behind that is he actually said in a press conference, you know, what do you bring to the table? He said, well, I can hit the short throws, the long throws. And I'm like, you what?
Can you?
Where the hell were you hitting those at? You know,
he meant that pit. That's what he meant. Come on, Penguins.
He was playing
Madden. Now we're going to Patrick Queen, Deshaun Elliott, who is like freaking legit. Van Jefferson. What's with that signing? Does that mean it's the end of who? Because Van Jefferson is not going to see anything but a fifth slot on that field.
To me, I feel like that's a Moncrief, whatever that Moncrief guy we got a couple years ago.
Yeah, Dante Moncrief.
Is he going to take
Moncrief? That's that signing.
Is he taking Boykin's slot? Is he taking Boykin's slot?
Fellas,
that's what I think is going to happen.
You don't think? I think he'd be great in the slot. When I had him on my fantasy team a few years ago, and he was doing well for the Rams out of the slot.
He's 29. He hasn't played for the last year or two.
Years ago.
To that, Chops, did you win the championship?
Second place.
Next.
Second place. Second place. Second place.
First place loser.
Can we go back to Patrick Queen, though? Can we go back to Patrick Queen? I think that is a sneaky good signing. 3 years, $41 million. The irony behind that is, you know, they loved him over here in Baltimore, but as soon as he signed with Pittsburgh, they're like, well, he's weak. If it wasn't for Roquan, he wouldn't have done anything. Hey, he had his all-pro season before Roquan.
Yes.
Before Roquan. Maybe he made Roquan.
Yeah, he likes to tackle, man. We
you know, like I mean, that's just some bullshit.
We got another one of their linebackers too.
Oh yeah, we
Moon.
picked him up. He's like a later, he's a depth guy, special teams guy, stuff like that. Yeah. How about this? How about what's his name wanting to come back? What's the Bud Dupree?
You bring him back cheaply.
Why not? Absolutely.
What's his age? What's Bud Dupree's age?
What's Marcus Golden's age?
Here's my thing, and I used to say this all the time, and I kept receipts.
31.
Bud Dupree was getting sacks when guys were holding the ball too long. He wasn't beating the tackle to get his sacks. And now he's older. Let's keep it 100. What did he do in Tennessee? Nothing.
I wish
Nada.
I wish they would sign. Personally, I wish they'd go ahead and sign Marcus Golden for another year because he produced last year as a minimal snap backup. What do you have? 5-6 sacks? He produced.
If we can get a corner, a decent, whatever. I'm geeked. I'm ready for this season. Whether it's Russ or whether it's Fields, again, I don't think you lose much, regardless of which quarterback's in there. If one flips and flops the other, but either way, you're going to have better quarterback play, which you won't rely on the defense so much as we did last year. And I understand people saying Russ is this. I don't get it. I do not understand why people are not loving this move. I don't get it.
The last thing for this show, fellas, we're going to skip the Penguin and Pirate piece of this. Rashid, you got to talk the Penguin piece of this because we could.
Real fast, yes. Okay. Yes.
Let me do the last thing on the Steelers here.
Okay.
Look, now that all this free agency stuff is shaken out, where do you see them in the division? Before they take a snap now, where do you see them in the division?
12-4.
Well, that's the entire seat, but
they're having 18 games this year, aren't they?
Is it 18?
They haven't. They haven't
made
that
decision yet. It's not 16. It's 17.
Are you talking about the overall record? Or are you talking about where they fall in the AFC North?
Let's say the AFC North. That's it. You got 6 games you're playing in the AFC North. Last year they were 5-1 and should have beat Cleveland that game they lost.
Yes.
Yes.
They're winning. It's going to be a toss-up to me, to be honest with you. It's going to be a toss-up to me.
It's always like that.
But here's fella. Did we really? And the Browns to me just aren't going to get it together. I just don't think the Bengals are still the bang. And you're right. It does always come down to that. But if the Steelers, I hate to be a homer, but if they don't win the AFC North this year, I'm going to be extremely 10 wins with that play at quarterback. When you rested, you were treating our defense like it was the 85 Bears. You needed them to do everything, and still got 10 wins.
And take a look at this.
It should have been at least 11 or 12 because they lost some ones they should.
I want you to think about this too. I want you to think about how many linebackers played in the middle. Mike and Mary, how many different guys played there? I want you to think about how many guys played safety.
Man.
How long you lost Minka for, how long Cam was down, even how long Deontay Johnson was out.
Yeah.
That still makes a difference. He was considered number 1 last year. I mean, you got to look at all that. I could see a 12-4 season. I could see another 5-1 in the division. I know that's a little homerish, and that's okay. People can say what they want to me, but if these pieces come together like they have anticipated with the signings, and the one thing that they do, they sign chemistry guys. They sign guys that they fit chemistry. And I think that's a good characteristic that Tomlin has. He knows if a guy's going to fit or not. Look at how quick they got rid of LeGarrette Blount a few years back, because he didn't fit the chemistry. Yeah, he threw his hissy fit, but I think that's one of those things that I'm very excited. I'm watching with bated breath on what they do with the receiver spot. I will stick by my guns and tell you, Pickens 1, Freiermuth 2, whoever they bring in, maybe number 3. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep. All right, real quick. Let's get your boy Sheen was chomping at the bit. What you got about these Penguins, Sheen? What you got?
Go ahead, Mark. Ask the question.
Hey, it's just the fall of the Empire.
Yes.
It's just the fall. Or are they going to shake this all out? They could shake this all out. Remember, this is a salary cap era. Do you trade?
Shake it out. I think it needs to start from the top. They got to shake Solly out. Get something freshy fresh in there. It's stale right now, fellas. And I mean, He got him through diligence. He's done a great job. He turned it over whenever they got rid of, was it Johnson before him, or and got him 2 cups. Yeah. But right now, the team's the oldest in the league, and his style is probably one of the oldest. They got to get something else.
I will say I have confidence in Dubas doing some magic. I could see him moving Carlson again and freeing up about $11.5 million. He's got some people that are interested in him. Now, he may have to eat some of that, but I could see them moving on from him. I wouldn't even have a problem, and I know people are probably going to freak out when I say this. I wouldn't have a problem moving on from Geno Malkin. Go ahead and send him down to Florida where he wants to play for the tail end of his career, but that's another, $6-8 million bucks?
Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with that. That is a sentimental, emotional departure, just like it was with, maybe not so much Yarder. Because it's
you got to get rid of both of them, man. Crosby got to go. Crosby's not winning the cup. No, he's not all-time top 5. Top 5 what?
He's still producing way more than Ovechkin is right now.
He got 33 goals. I ain't comparing him to Ovechkin's, dude. He can go, man. Y'all hold on. He got to go. He got to go.
Well, here's the thing. Yes, the Empire's fallen, but we've had a hell of a nice run, fellas, since the 90s. Since the 90s. You know what I mean? So that happens.
16 straight seasons in the playoffs.
Exactly. Do I think Sid will win another chip? I would say no.
Not here, he won't. Not in Pittsburgh.
But Barbara, like you said, this is salary cap era. You don't know what could happen, who they could bring in. If I'm gonna put Sid 6 or 7, only because if you put him in the top 5, do you realize, fellas? Let's keep it 100. There's gonna be Lemieux and there's gonna be Yager in that. You know what I mean? So you're going to tell me 3 of the top, all 5. So if somebody said, I'm not going to put him in the top 5, you bring in Bobby or you bring in
There's
Gordon
guys better than Yager even.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
I hate to say that.
Yeah. So I'm not going to put him in the top 5. But if somebody does, I'm not having an.
It's interesting you said that because I was talking with a kid at school today and he said about Sid being a top 5 player. And I looked at him and I said, I don't agree with the top 5. I think the top 10. And
without question.
Seriously, Marinay? And I said,
I'll give you 10.
I said there are some great guys that have played the game. Now, don't get me wrong, Sidney Crosby, like Sis was saying, he's still playing at a very, very high level for a guy that's 36 years old.
Oh, okay.
He's going to sign a deal this summer. His last hockey contract, he's going to sign it in Pittsburgh. I would not be surprised if this contract takes him to the age of 40 and he will produce. He said he wants to stick around to mold the next group is what he wants to do. He wants to stick around to mold the next group. So the important piece is
he's a coach on the ice. He's definitely a coach on the ice.
Yeah. Yep. Let me see what else. Going back to Sully, some of these questions go back to Sully, and I just want to deal with this one, and then that's it. They traded away Alex Nylander for a guy on the Columbus Blue Jackets who I think he had 6 goals when he came to Pittsburgh, and if he got another 6, he was going to get some kind of huge bump and raise. I don't even know if the guy's getting very much playing time anymore, but Alex Nylander had like 2 points in Pittsburgh in like a handful of games. Since he's gone to Columbus, he has 6 goals. He had a hat trick the other day. This is all about Sullivan, man. Part of the reason this team is down this hole is because Sullivan won't bring in the young guys that can play from Wilkes-Barre Scranton and let them play. Now he's got Puustinen on the second or third. He's got him on the third line. Puustinen he's playing, man. He's playing his ass off. And you've got some other kids down there that can play. I blame a lot of this on Sullivan and his coaching staff. When your power play is so bad and you still leave the guy on the bench who runs the power play, that's a huge problem with
me. What I don't get is, what is he thinking? I'd love to know, Coach, what are you thinking? That's what I'd want to ask him. What are you thinking? You know what I mean? Because obviously, seriously, I have real talk. Like, what do you think? Because like Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game. Yep. But I'm looking at some of these moves.
I could see Sullivan. I could see you asking Sullivan that question and him looking at you with his pompous ass Boston self and giving you that Boston accent and say, if you know so fucking much, you come and run at that. I could feel that from him.
Yeah, and I'll tell him I'm not from the politically correct era. I'll go in your mouth like a dentist.
Hey, Should the Pitt basketball team have been kept out of the NCAA tournament?
No.
Did they do them dirty?
It didn't help that a lot of teams that shouldn't have made it did make it by winning their conference championship.
Yes,
Like
that's true, Sheen. That's true.
Like Duke Haynes in it. Like I'm so mad. I'm gonna support the Dukes, but gee, man, Duke Haynes, beat them by like 20 something.
Yeah, it is.
Come on, man.
But again, how much I like Capel, but how long I like Capel as a person. I'm not a fan of his coaching, but I liked him as a person. But how much longer does he get? Yes, they could have made it, but the fact is they didn't because they lost games they shouldn't have lost. They had a schedule that was favorable to them. No, there have been people to say, yes, they got ripped off, but nobody's throwing their coffee against the wall that Pitt didn't get in.
All right, let me go off here for a minute then. With the freaking transfer portal, this becomes extremely difficult for some of those guys. Really hard. And he's lucky he had the guys that stepped up that did. I think the transfer portal, more than hurting college football, is absolutely destroying college basketball in so many ways. Guys walk away from their team. A few years ago, guys walked off the Pitt team in the middle of the freaking season. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The year Champagne left the team, there were guys that left the team that year that – they went on to play where they go play.
With basketball, it has always been an issue because they could play, was it 1 or 2 years and they can go out. Football, you had to stay three
from your graduating class.
There's always been with basketball. I think it was 1 year. They were always constantly rebuilding. I remember Krzyzewski and Dean Smith and those guys constantly talking about rebuilding. They're losing guys every year. But now, the portal is making it even worse.
Fellas, you know what, though? Real talk, just keeping 100. I don't have an issue with the portal. And here's why. Before, if a guy wanted to transfer, only if the coach signed off on it. And there were guys, their coach would not sign off to anybody in the conference that we played. Well, this guy, you didn't play him, but you don't want him to play for the opponent. Coaches have always had big money. Contracts bought out. Coaches having radio things. Now, players are getting money. It's an issue. Now, players having control over their future is an issue. I look back to the Fab Five, and we've seen a lot of schools, fellas, where freshmen come in and do work. So for these guys to say it's hard
Pitt
for
had two. Pitt had 2 freshmen to put in work.
Yeah. And so to me, yes, it makes it hard. And now let's not forget a lot of schools are buying players too. Let's just keep it 100. You know what I mean? In Pitt, I've heard different things why Pitt can't get players, the campus deficit, whatever it may. I don't know. But I personally, I don't have an issue. That's the one thing about the old man in me that I don't have an issue with the portal, only because now that when it was the players that had to do whatever the coaches said and the coaches ran everything was land of milk and honey. Now the players got a little bit of power. It's the worst thing, since whatever you want to look at.
I still think that they need to revise and put some rules in place for NIL in the portal, because it's just too easy to walk away and go after cash. It's free. It's nonstop free agency at the college level. And it's not even like that in the NFL. You just shouldn't be able to, I'll say this much and we got to move on. We can do one little quick thing on the Pirates and we're already running a little long. So Pitt's 2 top players this year, the kid who won the six-man award in the ACC. Yeah, I mean, he is legit, and they're going to lose him. And what's his name? What's our big guy? Come on, help me. Huh?
Why'd you say we're going to lose Leggett? Leggett's coming back.
Is Leggett come back?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to lose Henson? You're only going to lose Henson.
Henson, yeah. Okay.
Bob Carrington, they're saying the NBA he's on that draft board, but he said he's coming back. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I think those guys Capel went out and found guys that like playing for him. And that's where the difference has been. And it took him a while, but he found guys that like playing for him and they gel. Yeah, they started 1-5. And I think, and I'll leave it on this. I think what happened here is the committee looked at the fact they started 1-5. They lost to Missouri, which they should have beat Missouri. I think the committee looked at that stupid stuff right there instead of looking at, the win that they got, down at Duke? Didn't they win down at Duke?
They finished 22-11.
Yeah. How do you keep – this is the first time that a team in the ACC that had a double bye and was fourth in the conference in the ACC that didn't make the big dance with 20 wins. First time.
Yeah. So it is what it is. I mean, even not like I said, let's get into whatever else we got to do real quick. But the way they even did the women's bracket, it was ridiculous. You have Iowa and LSU playing. They have to play to get to the Final Four. Those two teams should have been in the Final Four. It was ridiculous.
Well, I wouldn't take this.
Where's South Carolina at, though?
I wouldn't take this snubbing as bad as Florida State got snubbed in the That was a snubbing. Woo!
Hey, Smitty, I just read that. Smitty chimed in here. It's good to hear from you, buddy. Haven't heard from you. If they played Duquesne, they'd have been in. When they dropped the city game. When they dropped the city game, that was a big thing. That was a big thing. Yeah.
Wait, so just the girls played Duquesne this year? The boys didn't play? I thought
the boys did not play them. The boys did not play them.
Oh, it was West Virginia.
Yep. All right. Real quick, the Pittsburgh Pirates having a decent spring, about a 500 season so far, made a couple of nice acquisitions. Michael A. Taylor and Herman Domingo. Now, Domingo could be a hell of a pitcher for them, but they also have this Jones boy who has, a 0.0 ERA in the spring after 11.1 or whatever innings pitched. This guy's going to be in your rotation. This rotation, when they get Skeens up with this Jones kid, with Priester, who pitched well in the spring, this could be a pretty damn good rotation. And you've got some pieces. You know, the Pirates lead. They either lead or are close to the top in home runs in the Grapefruit League this year. That's been a long time coming.
Yeah,
you know what?
2 weeks ago, you were saying, "Oh man, they might not win a game."
They were like 0-4.
I'm telling you what, though, they're not getting me. I'm not putting anything in this Grapefruit League after the Steelers last year doing work in the preseason and coming out there. I'm done. I
feel you.
I'm done in the Grapefruit preseason.
I feel you.
Real quick though, about your boy Domingo. You know, there have been questions about his past, whatever have you. 31 is not old for his position, whatever have you. The fact you're only going to pitch once every 5 days, you don't even go as many innings now as you used to.
100%.
What is he, like a 3 or like almost a 4 point or something like that ERA lifetime? He did pitch a perfect game, but I think he's almost to like 4 earned runs. And they're
at the end of the day, getting that guy, if he toes the line because he wants to make money again, they sign him to a 2-year deal. You get him straightened out. You bring him up in June. You get, you're right, Lamar. Absolutely right. Lamar, look, here goes our boy, Lamar. They're putting in work. They're doing the right things. And I'm hearing whispers about a couple of other guys, about a couple other guys that are free agents that are still sitting out there. They're never going to sign your Blake Snell or someone like that. But they're going to sign a guy who fits the system at a certain price and is productive in his role.
But here's the thing. Look, Lace loves his Steelers and Pirates into Pit Hoops, right? Not saying he's wearing rose-colored glasses. However, I want to believe the Pirates are going to do well, but they have ruined us, where they've destroyed my heart so many times. Fellas, we believe the sun is going to rise tomorrow because it has so many times in the past. The Pirates keep being the Pirates. You realize there's a couple times you could have gotten
like Cleveland keeps being the Cleveland in football?
Yes. I mean, you could have gotten a Pirate game a couple years ago for a can of corn. Literally, a canned good would have gotten you into a Pirate game. That's how no, seriously.
Overpaying.
That's how terrible they are. I'm hoping they do well.
First thing fans get the dress, huh, Chops?
Hey, Paul Skeed should have been on the opening day roster.
Don't forget old man Aroldis Chapman's coming out of the pen.
Yeah, that is insane too. People don't realize how insane that is. You know, I'll tell you what, whoever said about Skeens, I agree with you to a certain degree, but I wouldn't mind having him go down and pitch at AAA and just lay shit on the line in AAA, then come on up in June. I want to see how this team molds itself. You know, I want to see how this team starts putting itself together. I know they can win. They've got the pieces. My thing is, I don't know how much I believe in Shelton. I don't know how much I believe in Oscar Moraine. You know, I don't feel like that's the coaching staff to get this team to where it needs to be. It's got to come from veteran players that they bring on this team that know how to win. I don't think it's the coaching staff that's going to help there.
I got you.
That's the
Fellas,
ownership.
I love this all Yinzer show. We went way longer than we thought we were going to do, but that's how it is when we do sports, you know.
Yeah.
But this was a good one. I liked it.
Yeah. Hey,
You know
thanks
what I mean?
Thanks, everybody chiming in. Lamar, Schmitty, Daniel Barry, whoever that was. My guess is Dooman. Thanks for jumping on with us, you guys. This is the biggest night we've ever had. We've had 25 full-time watchers on this show tonight. 25 full-time watchers. That's just on Facebook for us.
Yes,
so
yeah,
that's pretty cool for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Michael.
Y'all come back and see us.
Michael Chops Michael Chops Meals at The Real Big Chops. You can find him on what? Instagram and the X, right?
Yes, sir.
T Sizzle, you can find him on Instagram and Twitter at One Young Terry. Rasheen, you can find him anywhere.
Everywhere.
He's all over the place.
Everywhere.
We found him last week, so we had to have a special show because we just found him.
We are going to talk about where he was and what he did because that's a really
Yes.
And then Michael Coach Newbazer, Newbazer is on Instagram and Twitter at Coach Noob. Hey, connect with us here on the Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maraday and the Barbershop Crew by checking out our webpage, podpage.com, Original Sports Podcast with Mark Maraday. And as it says across the bottom of the ticker, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, and of course, you can find us on YouTube. And you guys, when we come back for season 5, it's going to be really special because we just jumped on another network. So it'll be our 4th network we're on. We're on Manning Media Network. We're on Let's Talk Sports Network. We're on Sideline Sports Network, and we are going to be joining ESEN, Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. We will have a Tuesday night show on Roku from 9 to 10. So really looking forward to those big things coming down the road for us. Our next show will be in person. We will not be doing any Yinzer shows we did for a while, but our next show will be in person. For those of you who are local and live, come see us at Beer on Taps in Germantown, Maryland on April 6th at 3 p.m. And we're even going to pipe chops in for that one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Pause.
sir.
Pause on the pipe. Pause.
All right, fellas.
I think he might have drink, okay? Hey, it was a great show. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, you guys, for wanting to do this. We just threw this together, spur of the moment.
Yeah, had to.
Sis wasn't going to make it, and he's like, yeah, I'll make it. I need to be there. So we told Noobs, we gave Noobs the option, but Noobs is like, yeah, I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to pass.
He ain't a Yinzer. All right, fellas.
Hey, everybody have a good night. Thanks again, everybody. See you April 6th. Peace.
Peace.
That was good stuff, man.